Good morning, ladies. Right, this week we're going to make a shaped card using our dies. And I've used an outline shape and dies that actually cut into the card. Now don't panic if you don't have this type of die. We'll do I'll show you another way of doing it as well. So what I've done with this is the set that I've used, and you've got an outer edge, and then you've got a die that just cuts into the card, and then you've got another outer edge and the same, a die that just cuts into the card all the way down. These are called verso dies, so if you've got any dies that say verso on them, you know that they're going to cut into the card, and you're also going to have an outline as well. Okay, so what I did was I got A4 half fold, and I got my shape, my biggest size, and I put it on, and you can see it's hanging over the card. That's what you want. Taped it on, cut it out. So that's how you see it, like that. Then I cut out a full shape and I glued it onto the front. So that's how you've got a card that looks like that. And this has, it's got a little notch on it, plus it's a rounded shape. So I cut the notch off this edge, but I've still got my rounded shape. So what I did was I put up on my, if I get my guillotine, I put it on my guillotine, and I made sure my score line was lined up with that line, and then I cut the back of the card, I cut a piece off. So I've got a straight edge now. So that'll sit like that. So I've got a card now that doesn't rock about. If I set it on my mat, you'll see it doesn't rock about now. Whereas it rocked about, if I did it that way, it doesn't sit because it rocks. But if I wanted it landscape, I would just cut a straight edge on the back there, and that would stop it rocking and it would keep it steady. But I want it that way. Okay, so that was my biggest size. Then I took my next cutout. So I didn't use this one, the one that cuts into the card, and I cut it out in black. Then I cut that one out. So I cut that out first, then I put that on and cut it out into the card. So that was that too. I missed out that one, and that one, as you can see there. And I cut that one into black. Okay. Then I cut the two outside edge and the smallest one in the white. Now, I felt that was, it didn't give me the look I wanted, because I wanted a look of layers without putting too many layers on. So what I did was I cut this one that I left in, I cut that size out. Then I cut into the card, and then I cut the other layer to make it a frame. And I cut another one that size in white, and I glued it behind the black. So whereas you can see the depth there, there's nothing there, but it's very shadowed, doesn't stand out. Whereas now it stands out because it's got the white behind it. But I only glued it there and there. I didn't glue all these bits, okay, because I wanted them to have a wee bit of life about them. Then I've put this, the black layer, I've put on foam pads, and this white layer I've put on foam pads. So that's the only two bits that's lifted, but it looks like it's got a good bit of depth to it. Just finished it off with Nuvo Drops, black and white, and then Best Wishes, I cut out 3 and then went over it with my glitter pen, my clear glitter pen. And, I mean, you can put a ribbon on that, a bow on that if you want. You could put a couple of flowers on it if you like, but I feel it's busy enough. And it's just a nice wee card to send to someone. And it would go through the post because it's not that deep. But don't panic if you don't have this kind of die. I will show you how to do it using another kind. So I had a look at this one and I cut it out. I always, if I'm not sure what it looks like when it cuts out, I cut it out anyway. So I cut it out in black with a big one. Then I put the next size in and cut that out. So now I know that the whole thing gets cut out. Then I did the next size and that gets cut out. And there's a smaller size as well. Don't know what I've done with it, but it's there. And then that size. So I could have used that, but I felt that it was too much work. And possibly you lads don't have dies similar to that one anyway. So what I went hunting and I found this set. So this is, there's 5 sizes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it cuts out the whole thing. And then you've got this floral pattern or petal pattern all the way around each layer. And what I've done is I've only used 2 layers really, because that's on foam pads and that's on foam pads, but the rest, that looks like it's been cut into the card. And this is how I've done it, okay? So, A4 folded in half, and I've got my biggest die, and I've taken it and I've placed that edge on my score line. And I'm going to tape that down. I might need to invest in more tape, I think. I've got tape here someplace. There it is. Right, so that on the edge and tape it down. Now, I found that because these are older dies and I think they were quite cheap dies as well, I found that I needed my metal shim. So if you've got your metal shim, use it. Okay. Now, I feel that that's, let's see. No. Yeah, there we go. So it's not cut that edge. So keep it in the die and take that bit and that bit out. And my machine, working with the raspberry and the white plate, works better right in the centre of the cutting board. Yeah, that's better. And there we go. So that's all cut out. If you feel that this isn't cut properly, you just have to, yeah, see, that's not cut. So what I'm going to do with this is take that back out the road. I'm going to put this back into the die, and this is the back side of, make sure it's stuck. Okay, push it up as far as you can push it and make sure it's right in. Nope, it's not right in. You'll feel it clicking. And I'm going to take that down. Okay. And then I'm going to put my board on. I'm going to bring it down so that it's not going up to that cutting edge. And let's just hope this is cut. And there we go. Perfect. So there's my card all cut. Now, I cut a full, take all the bits out. There we go. A lot of hoovering up to do when I'm finished. Right, and then I cut a full piece out again, the biggest size. Just make sure there's no, and I glued it. And I'm gonna go around the edge. Okay. And you see that I'm doing it on the actual base card because this bit's going to stick up and you don't want to put glue past the edge. And just make sure that it's... Now, because this has got a straight edge, I don't have to bother about putting the back. So I can have that sitting any way. I can have it that way, or I can have it that way. Okay. Now, if you find that this is too hard to do it this way, cut out 2 pieces exactly the same, put a score line across one edge, okay, where you'll see that there's a line, an embossing line where that edge is. So if you score a line across there, glue those 2 pieces together, that'll give you a card as well, rather than doing it this way. But I find that this is the easiest way to do it, and it gives you a nicer finish as well. Right, so we've got that. So the next size down, I want to do in, I'm doing it cream and rose gold this time. So I want to do it in rose gold. Okay. And then I want the next size down to be cut into the card. So I would put that on. A bit of tape. And tape it down. And then put that through my machine. Now, it's going to cut the whole thing out. So the way around that is to cut another one out, and where you see that line, so I'm cutting it out in cream, just cut off all that fancy edging. Okay, you can do it on your guillotine if you want, but I've just done it quickly with me. So I've got this one. And as you can see, it's cut the whole thing out. Okay. Take all my bits off my board. So I have got this and this. Take all my bits. So this is if you don't have a die set that cuts into the card and just leaves the pattern in the card. This is the way to do this if you don't have a die set that does that. There we go, all the bits cut out. Now, if I was to go like this and stick that back into the card, make sure it's okay. And that bit that I've cut, the bit of cream that I cut all the fancy edging off, if I go round the edge with my glue, Do you know this? I never have any bother with my glue until I start doing my demonstrations. Crazy, isn't it? There we go. And then some in the centre. And I'm going to put that, make sure it's not sticking up over any of the, see that's got a wee bit. So I'm just going to get a pair of scissors and just cut that corner off. And there we go. And that's take all the bits of glue, and then that's going to go on there, but it's going to get lifted up with foam tape, and that looks as if it's had a bit that's been cut actually into the card rather than another layer. And that goes on there like that. Let's try and even it up. And there we go, that's your next layer. So my next layer after that is just done exactly the same. So I've cut out 2 of my bottom 2. And this one is going to be in the cream. Let's take out all the bits. And we're going to cut into this now. With the smallest size. And just tape that on. There we go. And you cut that. And then again, I've cut out another one in the rose gold, and I'm just going to cut off until that embossing edge. I've got a scraper that I use to take all the bits off my mats. And there we go. So put it back in, make sure all the bits are out. One bit that's not come out. And that gets put in there like that. And then put glue around the edge and a wee spot in the middle. And just make sure it's not a wee bit of dirty mark with the glue. You get glue on your fingers and it just leaves dirty marks. There we go. And again, foam tape. So you're creating the illusion of layers without there being layers. A lot of layers, should I say, because there are some layers. And then I put that on diamond shaped. There's one of my, let's not come out. And there we go. And that's your card. And then I cut out, I think I'm going to do thank you this time. So I cut out one in the rose gold and two in the cream. And just glued them together. Because I'm doing it in the rose gold, I won't have to put the glitter pen on it. So two in the cream, one in the rose gold, and I'm putting it directly on top. So it's just going to give it a wee bit of depth. And then just a wee spot of glue on the back. And there you go. Now, if you want to put on a wee bow or something, or a wee couple of flowers on top of that, you can. But I think as a wee thank you card, that's just lovely. So hopefully you'll be able to make something like this, or like this one, depending on what dies you've got. Okay, happy crafting.